region. Joining us from Dubai, Dr. Najat Al-Sayed is Assistant Professor at the American University in the Emirates. Thank you for being with us, Najat. We've had a lot of reports, unconfirmed reports, I should say, this week about a real cooling of relations between Israel and the UAE and Bahrain. Do you think there is some regret in those countries about the move to normalise ties with Israel?
Well, unfortunately, it's not about Israel in general. It's about this government, because it is embarrassing those countries that have made these bold steps. These bold steps were actually made to solve the Palestinian cause. But it is untraditional way of solving the Palestinian cause. Instead of not making any kind of relationship without solving the problem, those countries made the relationship in order to solve the problem. So when you hear such hostile rhetoric coming from the Israeli government, that encourages them and show that this kind of bold statement or this kind of new diplomatic experiment, has not been successful. So that's why it might cool down, because it didn't. It shows that these steps were not 100% successful. So it is not towards the whole country or the whole government in general, but towards this government specifically. The other thing, this government should be smarter than that, because it was attacked before anything happened. Since the election of this government, it was described by the international media, and here I'm focusing on the international media, that it is the most right-wing government in the Israeli history. So here, when such government is described like that in the international media, they have to be cautious more than anybody else. But what happened? As if they want to prove to the international media and to the whole world that their fear and anxiety is true. So what they have done, and instead of proving the opposite, they're proving all the doubts to be true.
Okay.
Starting from the
Najat,
violences and then the hostile rhetoric.
Najat, hold that thought, because I'd like to bring in Mohammed Najib, who's joining us tonight from Ramallah. He's a Palestinian security analyst. Good evening to you, Mohammed. Thank you for being with us. So, as we've just been talking about, how are the actions of the current Israeli government harming its ties in the region? Because, of course, Israel for many years was completely diplomatically isolated in the region. It only recently won a few friends. It does appear to be losing them again quite quickly.
It was isolated because they were pushing Israel to go back to the peace process and to find a political solution for the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. But now they have another reasons when Ben-Gvir and Smotrich are ministers in this government, when they deny the existence of Palestinian people, when Al-Aqsa is under Israeli control, so no one can stay with Israel and stand with Israel and support that. Even the closest ally, the United States of America, is upset by the Israeli behaviors, and they summoned the Israeli ambassador to Washington a few days ago. So the behavior of the current extremist Israeli minister Ben-Gvir and Smotrich make it difficult for any Arab countries to accept and to justify for their people, and more importantly, is to prevent any other Arab countries to join Abraham Accords and to normalize its relationship with Israel, as Netanyahu wished since he came to office in late December.
And of course, Mohammed, as Najat just pointed out, the Emiratis, part of the reason for them to normalise ties with Israel is that they hoped it would help ease the conflict between Israeli and Palestinians, and that doesn't appear to be happening. The Palestinians never saw it that way, though, did they?
They canceled the visit of Prime Minister Netanyahu, and when Ben-Gvir went to Al-Aqsa, they can tell their people if they normalize and have good relation with this right-wing government. So the behavior of the government and what's happened recently when they said go for deleting Hawara, and when they called there's no Palestinian people, and even the Israeli security disagree with that. For example, yesterday the 2,000 Palestinian prisoners were about to go on hunger strike. But what's happened that because Ben-Gvir wants to restrict their movement and their daily life inside the Israeli jails. But what's happened that the Shin Bet and Tzaha Negbi office met with them yesterday night and respond to their demands and canceled Ben Gvir restrictions, and they canceled that. So even the Israeli security disagree with the policies and the positions of Ben Gvir and Smotrich.
Okay, and just briefly, Najat, I mean, we just heard from Mohammed there about, how the Palestinian Authority sees this. When we talk about a cooling of relations, what do you think that might look like? Are we talking about undoing all of the defence cooperation, the economic cooperation? What steps do you think the Emiratis and the Bahrainis might take?
Well, now we have already seen some steps have been taken. Like, for example, the Israeli, for example, we saw the UAE government wants to reduce its diplomatic representation in Tel Aviv. Also, the UAE Ministry of Foreign Affairs is believed to have told its ambassador to Israel, Mohammed Al-Khaja, to avoid meeting any Israeli official. The Bahraini Minister of Foreign Affairs said in a statement that Bahrain rejects the incitement rhetoric and practices that contradict moral and human violence and undermine efforts and international peace. So all of these kind of statements will tell you what will happen. So there are might be steps to reduce diplomatic representation, to cool down. And what is making it even worse, Laura, that beside the violent rhetoric, beside the violences that are happening on the ground, what is making it even worse, this kind of is an internal Israeli conflict. That is even making it even worse. So here for the challenges that Netanyahu is facing is also between the right and the left, and the left is mostly it is quite dominating the media over there, and they are taking some statement out of context. Like, for example, we saw, Israel's transportation minister Mary Regev tweet about UAE was taken out of context in the media, and when she sat with the ambassador of the UAE, he understood what the media was trying to do. So the challenges is basically from the government, from the leftists and the opposition inside Israel, and from the media. And also, let us not forget that the Biden administration, even though President Joe Biden, when he came to power, he said he was, and when Netanyahu got elected, he said that he wants to, he's gonna work with him and work with the government. But the White House has previously dodged question over Netanyahu's right-wing politics, which are quite different from Biden's administration center left Democrat Party. Accordingly, this far-right government is going to be under scrutiny from the Democrat Party and from its media.
There's a lot of pressure.
There are many challenges.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on the relationship right now. And Najat Al Sayed and Mohammed Najib, thank you very much indeed to you both. Great to talk to you both.